Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Steven Silberbach, as Chris said. I am the Senior Vice President of Sales here at Clio. Been with Clio over 4 years now. It's been a long time, been at all 5 Clio cons, and I think this has obviously been the best one, so really appreciate y'all being here. So I landed the coveted 3:15 slot on day 2 of a 2-day conference, like the absolute worst spot. So we're gonna try to make it a little bit fun today, get everybody engaged. I really appreciate you powering through for me. I know it's been a long couple of days. I hope you've had a great time. Are you guys up for helping me a little bit, get the energy going? We're like, don't clap yet. Nope. I'm a sales guy, right? We're competitive by nature. We like to win. So if I'm gonna have the 3:15 time slot, I want to win the 3:15 time slot. I want everybody around us to hear that 3:15 is the place to be. So could you guys do me a favor, please? Could you just all stand for a moment? Just indulge me. Thank you, everybody, unless you can't. Awesome, thank you very much. So before you get screaming and yelling, if any of the things I'm about to wrap off here resonate with you, if any of these things happen to you over the course of the last 2 days, scream loud, clap loud, so everybody else in this building tries to figure out what we're doing in here. Is that cool? All right, here we go. Pay attention. If any of the keynotes inspired you, if you learned anything new, if you met any cool new people, if you're excited about the new Clio, if you're excited to dive into the Legal Trends Report, if maybe you drank a little too much, maybe you ate a little too much, if any of those things happen to you, let me hear it. Yeah. Awesome. You guys are great sports. Thank you very much. We're going to splice that in when we do the tape here. It's going to look like I got a standing ovation. That is exactly what I was going for. So before we kick in, there's a couple of people I want to acknowledge. First of all, Chris. Chris, where are you? Chris is the one who introduced me, and he's been like running this room like a champion for the last 2 days, introducing people, keeping us on track. So everybody say thanks to Chris. He's done a great job. And I'm not sure if anybody else throughout all the conference has mentioned it, but we up here are part of a team. So for us to put together all this content, to put these presentations together takes a lot of work, and it's not us. In fact, it's less us than everybody else. We have content teams that we've been working with for months to prepare for these presentations, and I'm not sure they've gotten the credit they deserve. So Melanie is my content partner who's in the back there. Stand up and give Melanie a hand and all of the content team for really helping us. They have to put up with the late night, hey, can you find me a graphic about this and insert this, and it's hard to do, so we really appreciate it. So let me tell you a little bit about me. That's me. This is the pose I did a couple of days ago. I've been with Clio for 5 years, as I said, and really I am a businessman. I think about things from a businessman's perspective. I have been in cloud computing a long time, really almost back to 2001, long before it was actually called cloud. It was called, and it wasn't called SaaS either, it was called like on-demand and some other weird things way back in the day. But I became a real cloud evangelist when I joined Salesforce.com in May of 2005, the preeminent cloud business software company really in the world today and continues to be. And I learned a lot about them, about the value and the real benefits of cloud for our customers. And I want to take a little time later on today to talk a little bit about that. I also want to get to know a little bit about you, if I could. So by show of hands, how many in the room are solo practitioners, really working by yourself or maybe with one assistant? Put your hands up high. Thank you. How many of you folks in the room work in, say, firms of maybe 5 or more employees or lawyers, so slightly bigger firms? So actually more of you in the room. How many work for nonprofits who do community service, really doing great things to help the community? Put your hands up way high. Give them a round of applause, because they're doing like the real important work. Thank you. How many folks in the room think of themselves as business people? Not everybody. So we're going to try to change that today. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about a number of things. How many folks are in New Orleans for the first time? Yeah, lots of you. So let me give you a little advice about New Orleans, if I could, for a minute. So there's a lot of ways to get in trouble in this town, right? Lots of ways. There's lots of things that are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in this town that are not available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in your hometown. There's a lot of places where you're going to have to report back to home or the office. There's a lot of things that can get into your bloodstream and never get out. Like, this is one of them. Like, if you've gotten these, how many have had these things? Yeah, they'll kill you, like, in the best possible way. So my advice to you is, like, avoid these things as much as you can, because you can't get them out. So thank you for that. Let's dive in a little bit. So this is the title of my talk this afternoon. This is the idea that I kind of built as I was kind of creating this presentation. And really my goal this afternoon is to combine the two main themes of the Clio Cloud Conference this year. The Legal Trends Report, this thing that we've created that gives you all the data and the insight of our vast Clio community of users, and the new Clio experience. I want to try to bring those two together for you in a maybe slightly different way. I know you've had a lot of time to digest what that means and all of the new Clio. I hope you had a lot of time to dig in and take a look at all of the product that we're doing. That's what I want to focus on. And while I look at this title, and it's a good title, I think it makes sense, I think actually this one feels even better. And the reason I say that, this is a kind of a variation of what's known as, it's a very common saying in the business world for a long time, that every company is a data company and every company is a software company. It really has never been more true than it is today. And at its heart, what it really means is that in order to grow and thrive in any business, including the law business, you need to figure out how to embrace technology to help grow your firm. And growth might mean different things to different people. It might mean more revenue, but it might mean a different way of life. It might mean the ability to spend more time doing other things that fulfill you outside of work. Whatever your version of growth is, you can't do it without technology today. And I think these last 2 days, we've spent a lot of time trying to walk you through why that's so true. Let's take a look a little bit and think about data, maybe in a slightly different way. So if anybody in the room has a fitness tracker, a Fitbit, any of those things that kind of helps you keep on track with your fitness, raise your hand for me. Okay, thank you. And if anybody in the room doesn't have those but has an Apple Watch or any other wearable device, could you put your hands up? And if you don't have one of those two, does anybody have an iPhone or an Android phone or another phone? Yeah, so I asked a good lawyer question. I asked a question I already knew the answer to. If you have any of these devices, this essentially makes you a walking, talking source of data all day, every day. In fact, most of your fitness trackers actually keep track of your sleep patterns too. So you literally never turn them off. You probably all sleep with your phones beside your bed. Now, the benefits of this to the user, to you, to us, are many, right? You get to stay on your fitness routine. It keeps you in check. It tells you when to drink water. It allows you to communicate, allows you to collaborate with your friends, keep in touch with your family and friends. These data devices help you. They deliver a lot of great value to you. And if you're the aggregator of this data, if you're the guys collecting the data, they get great benefit too. It allows them to use that data to create the next great product, maybe deliver the next great service. Some use it for bad, but most use it for good. So we're going to try to embrace this for the power of good that it delivers to us. So that's a little bit about the data side of the equation. Let's talk about the software side. My old boss, Mark Benioff, CEO of Salesforce, back in the day, way back in the day, 2005, used to rally us there around this concept. That cloud computing is really the democratization of software. And it was a great way, and continues to be a great way, for us to understand what the true value of cloud computing is. Think of it, back in the day, good software wasn't available to small and medium-sized businesses. It just wasn't out there. It was way too expensive to buy. It was way too complex to implement. It was way too onerous to support. It just wasn't available for small and medium-sized businesses. So what were we left with? Junk, crappy software that had no innovation. Nobody ever spent any time improving it. Some of it was okay, I sold some of it, but most of it was junk. It just wasn't good, but it was the best we had at the time. Cloud changed everything, literally everything. What it did was it delivered this new technology model, right? It allowed you to deliver software over the internet that you could use whenever you needed it and only had to use as much as you wanted. It also changed the financial model dramatically. Subscriptions. Easy monthly payments, pay for only what you need, all the innovation, all the support, all the growth, all included. Completely game-changing. And that democratization then put into the hands of every small business the same power of software that existed only for the biggest businesses way back in the day. Now companies big and small, can leverage this software to do amazing things, not only to help them run their own internal businesses, but this idea allowed them to spark great new innovation, great new changes in the way we did things, disruption because of this ability of software and data to commingle in a way that was available for everybody. It's really pretty amazing. Nobody's done a better job of this over the previous years than kind of consumer companies, B2C companies you've all heard of that now might be really big, but in the day we're using the power of this software and the power of this data to change things that hadn't been done before because they had it available to them. We've all heard of these guys, right? Airbnb. They are one of the biggest accommodation and experience companies in the world. They're private, but analysts think their revenue is exceeding $2 billion per year, and their market capitalization is greater than 30 billion, bigger than every hotel chain on the planet. But they own no hotels, and they manage no real estate. They are an app. They are software. Software that brings data and software together and creates a marketplace, a place where people who want to rent their space can connect with people who want to rent it. That's what they are. They've harnessed the power of software and data to literally change an industry. They, along with Uber, who together I think pioneered this sharing economy, are simply software companies and data companies, and they're changing the way we look at everyday activities. Really amazing. I think the story of Facebook is pretty well known, right? They made a movie about them. They've been highlighted a lot for the great that they do, and they do mostly good stuff, right? They connect people. They allowed you to collaborate with people and with companies and with like-minded folks around the world. They give you this incredible ability to feel connected when otherwise you might not. They have an amazing culture of giving. But they also occasionally get called out for when they do things wrong, when they misinform, when they maybe do harm intentionally or unintentionally, fake news. No political statement there. I'm Canadian, like we don't even, definitely no political statement there. But the story of Facebook for us, for this discussion, rock solid. And it's been proven consistently over time, and they've been around for quite a while now. Facebook's entire monetization strategy, how they make money, is on the data that you happily hand over to them all day, every day. In fact, somebody in this room is giving them data right now, right? That's how they make their money. You ever gotten into that interesting argument with a friend? Maybe it's your kids, maybe it's your grandparents, maybe it's your parents. You might be scrolling through somebody's Facebook feed, and you see all this ridiculous stuff, right? You see people are posting what they had for dinner, where they went on vacation, what restaurant they're in. They're checking in places. And you sit there and you go, like, who cares? I don't care what they're doing. Who cares? Facebook cares. They love it. They live off of it, and they feed off of it. They are a software company and a data company, and they make their billions of dollars in revenue based on data. So Facebook, Airbnb, Uber, tech companies, we kind of get that. We probably understand that they're software and data companies. What about these guys? So there was a really amazing article, timely, as I was doing my research for this presentation today, in a recent issue of Forbes magazine. And it was talking about CocaCola as one of the most innovative and progressive users of data. Would you have thought that? They're a drink company. There's a few really interesting stats about Coca-Cola. 1.9 billion servings of Coca-Cola products are consumed daily around the world. 1.9 billion. Did you know that they have over 105 million Facebook followers? Coke has 105 million Facebook followers and nearly 35 million Twitter followers. They're a data company. Everything they do today is driven by their analysis of data. Have you ever used one of those Coke vending machines where you can customize your drink, right? Put a squirt of something in that changes the flavor of Coke? Have you ever just gone to a regular Coke vending machine, put your money in, and out came a can or a bottle of what you were buying? Every single one of those vending machines is a connected device. They are computers, not just dispensers of drinks, pulling all the information that you give them every time you buy a drink. If you walk into McDonald's or any other fast food location that sells Coke out of fountains, they are connected devices. They know who's buying it, when they're buying it, what size they're buying it. They know what they're buying it with. Coke collects an incredible, immense amount of data and uses it to absolutely decide on almost every strategic move they make. Regional needs, regional differences, flavors, everything. Coke is a software and data company. Anybody remember these guys? Put your hands up if you remember these guys. Good. I got a crowd old enough to remember Blockbuster. I think there's one left in the United States. Some holdout somewhere, there's one left. There are so many angles to the story of Blockbuster. It's actually a fascinating study to me. There's a ton of different angles to talk about the demise of Blockbuster. But it's interesting to go back and take a closer look at kind of what this all means. So think about the typical Blockbuster experience prior to the Netflix days, but even in the early Netflix days, right? You would get in your car on Saturday night, date night. You'd go to Blockbuster before you went out to do whatever else you were going to do that night because you wanted to make sure you got there early enough to get a copy of the movie that you wanted, right? Is this starting to ring true for anybody? Right, so you got there before you went to dinner, you picked up the movie, you walked up and down the aisles, you tried to find the movie, Back to the Future, right, best movie ever. You try to find your copy of the movie, you rent that, you go stand in line, you pay for it, you hand them your membership card, they scan your card, then they scan the movie, then you give them your money, then you leave. Then you go on your date, then you watch the movie. You probably have to rewind it because the jerk before you forgot to do it. Anybody remember VHS before DVD? Yeah. So you have to rewind the movie, then you watch it. Then on Sunday, you got to find time to get back in your car, drive back to Blockbuster, stick it in that slot, right? And through that entire operation, they were amassing a pretty significant amount of data about you. In fact, they had this face-to-face thing with you that Netflix never did or never will, right? So where did it go wrong? Think about that for a minute. Remember, in the early days of Netflix, they were not a streaming company. Streaming didn't come along till way after. The technology hadn't existed yet, and there wasn't enough high-speed bandwidth in people's homes to let streaming be what it is today, which is ubiquitous. And Blockbuster probably would have figured out streaming anyway. What did Blockbuster in, really? Here's what did them in. All that data that they were collecting from you, and there was a lot of it, all that data that they were collecting from you, they were using pretty much for one thing only. They wanted to remind you that you owed them money, late fees. Late fees did Blockbuster in. It was too late for them to figure it out. They eventually got rid of them, but that's all they were using their data for. On the flip side of that was Netflix. Remember, Netflix in its early days was sending DVDs through the mail. Right? So if you decided on Saturday night you wanted to watch a movie that you didn't get received from Netflix, you weren't getting it. It was better, but it wasn't that much better. In many cases, Blockbuster was better because you could go there and get the movie you wanted. But instead of charging you late fees, they charge you a monthly subscription fee. You could watch, I think, up to 5 movies at any time. And all of the data that they were collecting from you, they were using to create this recommendation engine. They were using to create a community. They were trying to figure out if you watch this movie based on the millions of other subscribers who also rented that movie, you'd probably like this other movie, and we're going to send that to you anyway, no extra charge. So while Blockbuster was trying to gouge you for late fees, that's the only thing they used their data for, Netflix was trying to create a community. And we all know who won. The continuation of that story for another conference is that Blockbuster had the opportunity to purchase Netflix for about $2 million back in the day, but they never thought it would catch on. Yeah, we'll talk about that next year. It's an amazing story. So I hope this helps illustrate software and data in a different way. I hope it gets you to think a little bit about every company being a software company and every company being a data company. This has been our attempt to kind of make this meaningful for you, bringing these two things together in this way. The Legal Trends Report is our attempt to bring you the data necessary to make informed decisions. You've heard lots about it. We invite you to dig in. And then the new Clio experience, together with that, is our attempt to give you this incredibly flexible platform to do just about anything you want. We are now the most flexible and most capable legal platform in the industry. We've brought them together for you. And that flexibility that I just spoke about is really driven now by our new app directory and our API version 4. I know you've had a lot of time to dig in. I hope you'll take the time to learn about it, but this is game-changing for us. This now allows us to take the core functionality of Clio and extend it to essentially limitless opportunities for additional features, functions. This changes the game. We've now created the platform that will allow everybody to create anything they want to do with any piece of the data inside Clio. If you haven't dug into the app directory, I really encourage you to do so and go talk to some of the folks out here. I'm going to use the app directory a little bit and some new Clio features to walk you through a few of the data points that I think are important. The Legal Trends Report is big. There's a lot of stuff in there. I know you'll take the time to dig in on your own, but I wanted to use it as a way to kind of illustrate this data software paradigm that I've been talking about. So we're going to go back to the funnel. Remember the funnel Jack put up in the original keynote? I'm a sales guy. We love the funnel. The funnel is like this amazing model for us, because for us, it's an opportunity funnel. All the stuff goes in the top that's potential, and out at the bottom comes the stuff we actually turned into winnable deals, money. That's how we think about the funnel as salespeople. But for you, this funnel is like how much opportunity you have in your 8-hour day, and what are you going to do with that 8-hour day, and at the end of the 8-hour day, how much money are you going to make at the end? So I want to use this as our model to highlight those three key measures. We have our 8-hour workday. How much of that 8-hour workday is utilized? How much do you get actually as billable? How much is realized? So when you're all done there, how much actually gets on the bill after you write it off and listen to your clients complain that they can't pay you? And then at the bottom, how much do you ultimately collect? Really, all that matters for those of you who think of yourselves as business people. How do we get that money out? So I'm going to use those three stats and try to illustrate a little bit about how we should think about that and some cool new app directory applications and a couple of Clio features I want to highlight to help put it all together for you. We'll do this a little bit rapid fire. So the way I decided to kind of think about presenting this data for you, because there's so much there, is to kind of take a good example. So I took family law practices, because there is an outsized number of family law practices who are Clio customers today, and presented those utilization rates, and we'll go through the entire funnel, for Louisiana, because it's our current home for ClioCon, and for Illinois, because it was our previous home for ClioCon, and they are geographically different enough in their dynamics that I think it makes a good comparison. And then I also included the national average, so you can see across nationally for family laws. So there's the numbers there. You can figure them out for yourself. You kind of know what they mean. What I've also done here is add in kind of overall, so not just family law, but all practices of law that we were able to pull out of the Legal Trends Report. And as you know, if you listen to both Jack and George's earlier presentations on the Legal Trends Report, we've been able to dive quite a bit deeper and with a higher level of granularity than we ever have before. So in this case, utilization rates separate from family law actually get a little bit better. So family law is not doing great here at all. But overall, the utilization rate on the national level, 29%, 2.32 hours of your 8-hour day is actually getting utilized for billable. Let that soak in. And while we're doing that, let's talk about maybe some features that can help us get there. And these are just a bit of a random pick, because I'm really excited about what I'm seeing out in the app directory. So there's some great opportunities here for you to think about how you can automate a lot of the processes that are going to help you improve these stats. So the first one is, and we've seen this a couple times, is AppTodo. Beyond the fact that it's a cool name, this thing is going to do some of that work for you that takes up time, that is necessary, but doesn't actually earn you any new money. It's essentially an automated appointment reminder system that's pretty sophisticated and fully integrates with your Clio calendar. So it can send out reminders via text, via voicemail and phone, and via email to your customers when you need to remind them about appointments, when you need to follow up, anything that takes up time administratively to keep in good contact with your clients, but takes you away from actually doing billable work. AppTodo is really cool, and it's a really new and innovative way to solve a problem that I think will help improve some of the things you're working on. Your hit rates are going to go up. People are going to show up, or you're going to know they're not going to show up for an appointment that you actually would bill them for, or get on the phone, whatever it might be, before they don't show up, and it doesn't give you this opportunity to reschedule that hour or half hour if that could happen. This is an amazing tool. I invite you to go look at it. AppTodo is here, and I think this is a really exciting way to start thinking about how to automate those processes. Use software, use data to help you solve some of these problems. We've spoken a lot about the new Clio Timer over the course of the last 2 days. I know that Clio knows that the Clio Timer it's table stakes. It's important. We know it. It's kind of simple. We kind of get it. It's one of those things that you have to do, and you have to do it right. And obviously, it's most important for those who bill by the hour, but we get a lot of feedback from our customers that even though they might not be billing by the hour, they actually want to keep track of how much time they're spending on matters, whether they're being billed by the hour or not, to make sure that they're actually using their time well and not putting more time into something than they're actually reaping in benefit and in payout. There's a lot of new things in here. We've rearranged it. We've moved it around on the screen. We've made it much more rich with more information. We've added it to our mobile application. And we've kind of changed the game about how the timer should be used. And we continue to want your feedback on this, but I think we've made some really nice, tight integrations that make this a natural part of your workflow versus the way it was before, which was maybe a little unnatural. Okay, we continue our journey down the funnel. We get to realization rate. This one's really interesting. If you take a look at the realization rates here, you can see it again for the 2 states and the national. And then if we add in all practice areas, it actually goes down. So family law is doing a little bit better here. What's interesting about realization rate is there isn't really one thing that can make realization rate better, right? It's a combination of all kinds of things. How you deal with your clients, their view of your service, your understanding of their ability to pay. You need to understand where you should be spending your time, where should I put my effort into the more profitable activities. So when thinking about what we should talk about here, we came across Clocktomizer, and this is a really kind of interesting new application for us in that it does just that for you. It goes in and extends Clio. It is a perfect example of what a platform should be. It takes the power of Clio, it takes all of the data that lives inside Clio and gives you additional functionality above and beyond what our reporting engine can do for you today. It pulls the data out and actually will visualize it for you. It'll use an AI driver to help understand your data probably better than you can today. It'll deliver reporting for you and let you understand the things that you're doing better than you can do today, and give you the insight, we hope, using software and data to decide where you should spend your time. Which matters are more profitable for you? Which clients are more profitable? Which activities bring you more revenue? Clocktomizer can help solve a lot of problems for you, and I hope you can dig in. Okay, bottom of the funnel. How do we get our money? So we did all that. How do we get our money back from our clients? And this one's interesting. We actually have a lot of stuff to help you here, and you've probably seen some of it. Here's the collection rates for family law in Louisiana, Illinois, and nationally. And then if we add in the overall performance, it's about the same. When we net this all down and you go through all 3 stages of the funnel, you're actually getting paid for less than 2 hours of the work you do. We've presented that to you before, but it's a bit sobering, right? How do you get this money out for all the work you do? When it gets down to this point, it's less than 2 hours, so at least you want to make sure you're collecting on your money. And we've got a number of really interesting things to talk about here, and I'll try to go through them pretty quickly. The first one, I love this one. This is Invoice Sherpa, so not dissimilar to AppTodo. It automates a really important function that takes up a lot of your time, but doesn't drive net new revenue. It automates your accounts receivable. You now have an automated version of somebody who can get on the phone and call your customers to say, hey, there's an outstanding invoice and I really need you to pay. You can integrate it tightly into our billing platform. You can integrate it tightly with your phone system and the way you deliver outbound messaging today. It allows you to take your resources away from collecting for the work you've already done, which is important but time-consuming, and get back to actually working on things that matter to you and your firm. It's a really interesting application, and it's another great example of how you can take the core functionality of what the new Clio experience delivers you today and extend it well beyond. I invite you to take a look at it. I think you'll find it's really amazing. Clio Payments. We've heard a lot about this, but this is a really important thing for us. We introduced Clio Payments in 2015, so it's been out for almost 2 years now, and it's been our single biggest success for new products. The adoption for Clio Payments within our Clio user community has been amazing. And we know, because we have data that shows it, that if you accept credit cards, 2 things will happen. 1, you'll be as smart as Jack Newton's 3 kids selling lemonade, and 2, you'll get paid 36% faster. It's pretty hard not to want to do this. Your customers want to pay you by credit card. You need to give them the ability to do so. We've added extra features and functionalities. We've integrated it even more tightly in our latest version with Clio and our billing system. You know we powered and have partnered really closely with LawPay, the leading legal payments processor in the industry. We've included and increased the trust capabilities. It is really a robust feature that will allow you to collect a lot more money, 36% faster. We hope you'll dig in. Talk to our guys. We'll explain it to you and walk you through it. And finally, TrustBooks, who is out here today, and I spent a little bit of time talking to them. This is a really amazing and interesting new partner of ours because they take what Clio can do with trust accounting, and we have some gaps, we know that. It's getting way better, and they take it to the whole next level. Not unlike what you do with your current accounting system, whatever one you use, Xero, QuickBooks, or whatever. TrustBooks allows you to do kind of all of the core trust accounting necessary to ensure that you stay compliant. 3-way reconciliation, which, by the way, I just found out what that meant because I was in that accounting session just before that. Don't ask me to explain it, but it's pretty interesting. So you get all that. It keeps your trust ledgers up to date. It ensures your clients never get into a negative situation. And it gives you peace of mind that you can work in workflows that make sense to you and not an accountant. And I think this will help you with your collection rate and with some of the other things that are taking up your time and not letting you go back to doing billable work. So that's kind of a rapid-fire run through all those features that I hope will help you understand how you can take advantage of the new Clio platform to improve every one of those stages. I want to end my talk this afternoon, wrap it up, by highlighting Clio's mission statement, transforming the practice of law for good. We actually really believe that, and we have rallied around that in a really cohesive way. I've tried to spend the last half hour or so talking with you about the value of data and the value of software and how you can now leverage it to do great things for you. Hopefully it sparked some new ideas. Hopefully it got you thinking about data in a different way. You'll never look at that Coke you buy again because you're pretty sure they're watching you. That's all true, and I hope that gets you thinking about things in a different way. Let me end by telling you a little bit about this graphic that I put up here. So this is from Mary Meeker's Internet Trends Report, 2017 version. You can see where we got our inspiration for the Legal Trends Report. And the Internet Trends Report is about 350 plus slides long, and none of them look that much better than this one. So they don't spend all their effort making them look pretty, but what they do is they get an amazing amount of data on everything to do with the internet. Usage, trends, emerging markets, emerging technologies, everything from gaming to medical. It covers it all. It is an amazing read to understand how the connected world of data and software is changing everything that we do. And of all those 350 slides, and I actually did look at almost all of them, I avoided the gaming part, this one stood out to me because it made a point of highlighting the massive and immense transformative impact technology has had on the practice of medicine over the last 100 years. Really remarkable. And I guess the question I put out to you as we wrap up today is, how does this compare to the transformative nature of technology on the legal industry over those same 100 years? Right? If you take a look at what the medical profession has done and you compare that to the legal, my bet is if we took a lawyer, and Jack has highlighted this a number of times, from 100 years ago and dropped them into present day, they're going to struggle with some things, but there hasn't been that much change in how they practice law over the last 100 years. So our goal at Clio is to be the foundation that helps you do that and helps our industry make this transformation to use technology, data, platforms, and knowledge to help us move in the same kind of speed with the same kind of transformative impact that the internet has had on the medical field and many others. I think if we can do that and you can do that with us, we're going to feel like we were pretty successful. That's it for me. Thank you very much.